Gosh, I hear myself multiple times. Oh, I'm looking forward to this stream. There we go. I always clap too loud. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Today is the 25th of October 2021. My name is Biendeo. You may remember me from this Biendeo channel. Today I will be playing more Muppet Monster Mania. This is the last Monday before Halloween. Halloween is on a Sunday, so Hallows Day is on the 1st of November. So, what is Hallows Day actually a spooky day? Because Halloween, Hallows Eve, is, you know, the day that we're all celebrating there, but All Hallows Day is not spooky at all. All Saints Day, also known as All Hallows Day, Hallowmas, the Feast of All Saints, or Solemnity of All Saints, is a Christian solemnity celebrated in honor of all the saints of the church, whether they are known or unknown. Well, it ain't particularly spooky, but you know what is spooky? This game. So I have conveniently waited past all the logos and stuff before starting this game, but that's okay. I don't know if the game is actually too quiet. It's rather quiet, actually. One thing I didn't show off, by the way, and this is something I wanted to ask myself a question of. When I was re-killing enemies in the game, I was getting these coins. What the coins do is you basically just collect them, and then you get a gallery. And the gallery consists of, half of them are teenager drawings of Muppets. And kids. You also get some concept art, and some sound clips. It's probably art of one of the devs. So, point is, I assume you collect all the coins, because, yeah, okay, it does indeed track it per level. You do all the coins, and you get all these gallery items. I will proceed to probably not do that, because it involves just playing the levels again and attacking enemies. It's not particularly the most exciting. I'd rather just get the 100% in the game and call it a day. So, there's that. I got a decent range of topics for today, which I think is actually quite exciting. So, the last stream, if any of you guys didn't tune in, is basically, this is the game, this is all the abilities, and here are 8 of the 24 levels in the game. I'm going to be playing another 8 of them this time. We'll go with that. So... But yeah, no, this has been a rather interesting week, I've found. There's been quite a few developments going on. I mean, even just for me, oh boy, I remember having good fun time on this level because it involved these weird things. Like, what am I supposed to interpret that as? It's just, as a guy. What was the button? Oh, it's on the ground. It's on the ground. Oh, yeah. I remember taking so much damage off these guys up there. So, anyway, more Muppets, more game involving Muppets. And let me see if I can remember the controls. Oh, yeah. It's not a Spyro game unless you've got a guy with a gun. That's just a rule. We got water. That's something you don't get in Spyro games. Not the first game. That's something we barely get in any of these levels. There's been not a ton of water swimming. So, maybe we'll get more. Yeah, no, I'd say for me, for my well-being out in the middle of the week, I've had a pretty chill week. I played a few games, listened to a bit of music. But overall, you know, it's nothing too flash, but I kind of am liking just a bit of nothing too flash going on in the world. This ledge is a lot larger than when I was down below. I guess I gotta climb the post. You know what's weird as well? Like you're seeing him rotate around like a central point as if it's like a common log. Ugh. So, oh yeah, it's a bit bizarre getting back into this game. Yeah, I remember these guys actually giving me a lot of trouble. Can't remember why. He's metal, but I don't know, what's the game's rules? Who knows? Who knows? Sometimes you can hit metal and sometimes you can't. That's how the world is. We got a tent. You slide down the tent, why not? It's a rather open area, isn't it? Have we had this music already? It's just the same menu as... Sorry, the same music as the title music as well, isn't it? Does this remind you of the enemies in Toasty? The shepherds with the two dogs right next to them? That was a wonderful fire. I swear, I'm just picking up a lot of stuff. That's what you get when your level goes around, but that's okay. Oops. Gonna die before I hit a checkpoint, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, life's been pretty good. Things have been pretty chill. How about I'll discuss a wonderful topic. We have the world of game exclusives. This is a fun topic. I guess this is where the level continues going. So, I think you could do a jump from here to, well... what, even you can't? Okay. But yeah, game console exclusives. The always fun topic of what happens when your video game comes out on one x86 machine, but not other x86 machines. What do you do? I mean, exclusives of... not a new thing. I think I've probably talked about this before, but I can't remember what game. Maybe this was in the concept of Epic Game Store stuff, which now always comes up as like, you know, it's the hot topic. It's like, you know, you can't... Which way continues the level? That way? That feels like actually the way to continue the level, but who knows? We'll come back. We'll figure it out. But yeah, this comes in the talk of God of War announcing, or did they even announce? They just kind of got a listing on Steam, just going, hey, God of War, it's coming out March 2022? It was some 2022 date. Yeah, I feel like I'm probably strawmanning. It's not as many, you know, there's fanboys, but I don't really know how many people are actually fanboys. But there was a lot of, you know, like, oh, you know, how dare Sony do this? Why did I buy my PS5 if, you know, the games are just going to come out on other consoles? Never mind, also, this game came out for the PS4, like, I guess 3.5 years earlier. Like, you know, you can play the game ahead of time then. I guess there's value in playing the game, like, early. And this is something, actually, that, like, you know, I'll admit, as someone who patiently plays games late, you know, like, I'm playing, like, the Muppet PS1 game. You know, I've got, like, no taste. The idea of playing a game when it comes out, there's value to it. And that's the reason why software drops in value over time. It's because playing a game now makes a lot more sense than playing a game, you know, next year. And in the context of multiplayer games, like, definitely. Ow, this can't be. That's some implicit invulnerability, because I took an extra hit just then, but yeah, that's a bit interesting. Yeah, I think there's a degree of, like, yeah, playing a game now, like, that's the reason why exclusivity pays, and that's why you'll see titles like, I always keep mentioning, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Sorry, Rise of the Tomb Raider, not Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Whoa, it's such like a weird shot to try and dodge. But yeah, does anyone remember the second of the Tomb Raider trilogy games being an Xbox One exclusive for a year? Before PC? That's something. I feel like it happens quite a bit. People just kind of, you know, sleep on it when it... oh, the jump was, like, awfully delayed, and now I can't redeem it.
Wow!
I'm gonna encounter a game over rather soon, aren't I, as well? Maybe I go back to the beginning level. Because, yeah, this is going to be a bit rough, because I think if you game over... Do you title screen? I think you might title screen. That's not good. That's not good at all, but... Yeah, I'm just going to ignore him. I'm just going to try and do the jump. Yeah, I was a little late on my jump. Probably just me, but yeah. So, what's the opinionated part of console exclusives? Or rather, console exclusives coming to PC? Well, I think that it's very good for games to come to PC, inevitably, because a lot of game consoles nowadays are awkwardly get. Actually, no, sorry, I take it back. Game consoles nowadays are awkwardly more like PCs in the sense of they don't, like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, they're maintaining a lot of your library carrying over into the new console. It's not just like, oh, it's the Xbox One and maybe you'll get a compatibility layer, but like sometimes you gotta rebuy games. It's like, no, I mean, for these consoles, you seem to be able to just download and play old games in a kind of enhanced mode. There's some merit to games that do get a proper treatment, but it's like, you know, that's actually pretty, you know, like a PC in this one, like a computer. Because a computer basically is like, well, it's the software and you're the one configuring the hardware to go and run whatever the heck you want against it. So that's pretty much the idea of, maybe not necessarily game preservation. What are you gonna say? Oh, he has the challenge, okay? Yeah, okay, I remember this being very awkward, because, like, you saw... Well, at least they give you a path. But it's just like... You know, they were all over these totems. I don't know what's with the giant eyes. It's a very, like, rareware kind of style. But yeah, I guess like that's the main reason why I really like games coming to PC, is that, you know, they're not bound by limitations of the existing, you know, of the hardware, pretty much. Like, this game looks kind of eh. It'd probably be a little nicer with, you know, being able to chuck some more modern rendering techniques onto it. And now, granted, yeah, you can do that in an emulator context, but there's something nice about being able to run it natively and be able to tweak it natively. I just feel like there's a degree of that. There's only so much you can really get out of an emulator. But that being said, yeah, the new consoles seem to offer that ability within this generation at least. So on the other hand, I'm kind of like, well, what do we do about games that are for this PS4, PS5 generation that do come to PC? Because we had Horizon Zero Dawn earlier, I don't know if, I can't remember if it was this year, but definitely within the last, like, 18 months, come to Steam. And Microsoft has done the big push to push Xbox One games onto the PC over the past 5 years.
You did it. So go get your Muppet token, okay?
Okay. So, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting spot we're in. I guess, what is my stance on it? Because rather than just describing a situation, I guess, what else am I going to say? Well, I would say that, like, you know, as someone who doesn't own a PS4, I like the idea of being able to play these games on a console that I do own. I guess that's always, like, you know, the real big plus. Is that more, you know, more platforms that a game is on, the more people who get exposed to a game, the more people who can play it. And ultimately, if you're not really trying to push hardware, which in Sony's case is a bit of an interesting one, because they are. But yeah, like, I kind of say, hey, there's not really any other reason why your game would be exclusive to one platform, unless someone is buying you out for it, pretty much. I don't see there being any reason to not develop your game on multiple systems now, because it's trivial. There's no reason why your game can't run on the Xbox One if you've got it working on the PS4. Unless, yeah, someone paid you money to only put it on one console. In which case, then, yeah, you're basically trying to make the losses. But, like, this is, you know, we're back to the Epic Game Store argument of going, okay, well, yeah, like, let's say I paid you $1 million to say, can you limit the number of people who can buy your game? To some extent, you'd probably take that. And that's the equation that some people are probably doing. I think a lot of these big studios who are actually in the position to push the console exclusive titles, usually, like, that's just driven by the first party support. So this is just any kind of in-house Sony studio or any in-house Microsoft studio, just anything underneath that umbrella. I mean, Nintendo's in the same boat as well. It's just like the thing that pushes the software is the developer themselves. Sorry, the creator of the system basically just creating their own games for the system. Back in the day, that used to be, you know, the biggest selling point. That was one big reason why the PlayStation succeeded, was that it was very similar to, I guess, some arcade systems, and I guess actually to some reason why the Saturn was also quite lucrative to a degree. Actually, sorry, no, I take it back. All the systems then were all arcade systems. I think maybe not the Saturn, but the PlayStation was very similar to a Namco arcade system. I think they were kind of co-developing it, but it was like, hey, like, you know, let's put in a lot of extra effort to make sure that this game console is very much like the kind of power that we actually do want to push. Same thing with the Nintendo 64 was, you know, like, my brain's latching onto Cruis'n USA, because that used to be an arcade system that was kind of co-developed with Nintendo, and that was a Nintendo-published arcade game, and they were basically pushing that as, like, that's the arcade hardware that will end up being the console hardware. Obviously, in both those cases, it's a bit of a stretch. They're not really like Neo Geo levels of actually the whole hardware in your home. And for good reason. The Neo Geo was very expensive boy. Very expensive boy. No one would buy that. Well, not no one, but, you know, sales were low because you didn't have to sell that many of them. But, yeah, I guess ultimately, like, you know, first-party developers don't have as much incentive to sell particular hardware because games have such a wide reach that, and ultimately, I guess the PC serves a different market as well. So that's your other one. I love how, like, the one room I skipped over ended up being the one room that I had to come back to. I mean, I guess I would theoretically say that about both. What is happening here? Well, I guess I can climb this. Sure. Every time a level designer does this, I cry. Just, ugh. Very specific platforming. How dare they? Nope. I remember Spyro 2 where you had the little hover. So it's like all the little jumps, it's like, hey, you had a bit of a saving grace. Yeah, so part of me kind of still wants that, but sure. That should be the last bit of tokens, actually. That's the level done. Unless there's 6... Maybe another thingy out there. Wow, that's even better. That's even better. It's not that I'm just missing one of the tokens. There's one of the evil energies. So what's that? Green one? There's just a green boy sitting out there somewhere. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh well. Oh, I got a bit to look out for. So I didn't just leave it in the water, did I? No, not quite. Maybe it's got to do with the start here. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for Sony to do. The only thing I can say is that, like, if a game is old enough that it's probably not going to push consoles, then you might as well just release it on new platforms, because ultimately people will buy, you know, the game on other platforms. And in fact, PC is a smart one, because I think more people are willing to buy a game again when it comes to PC than, you know, than otherwise. So if anything, make a game for one console and then make it for PC. That seems to be your ideal strat. Yeah, I guess that's a bit of a weird one where, you know, is the PS5 even selling? I mean, I guess it's selling, yeah, but, like, is it selling as fast as, like, Sony actually wants because of, like, you know, shortages are getting in the way? Who knows? Who knows? Not me, at least. I'm curious if anyone has any kind of like salty thoughts on... Oh, actually, I guess I should speak about the community reaction. So I guess here's the thing. Now, you as a consumer, obviously, a game being exclusive purely harms you in the sense of there are less avenues to play the game. I say this in a very mild way because it's obvious that it's like, you know, oh no, the game is not available because I don't have the console. Like, that's, you know, harm in a very minor sense. Obviously, you are not injured by the fact that God of War is now on PC. Hopefully not. Jeez. But yeah, I think there is like a degree of, you know, not necessarily buyer's remorse, but, you know, oh, I wish I played it on a more, you know, ubiquitous system. I enjoy playing games on PC. But yeah, I can totally imagine like some people going, hey, like, you know, the PC version will be more superior. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Horizon Zero Dawn was a bit iffy at first on PC, from what I heard. So yeah, it's up in the air. But on the other hand, it's, you know, I'm not too sure where you really go from there. He's just gonna give me the same challenge again. So it's strange that bit of dark energy must be sitting somewhere. And it's not just part of a challenge, but then, like, where is the other challenge? I haven't seen the guy, and I can't really feel anything. Like, I can't particularly notice where they're intending for me to really go to. I've got this wonderful waterfall bit. It's here. Yeah, sitting there.
Flying like an eagle again, but not to the sea.
There you go.
That's
Okay.
too far.
It's kind of weird. It just controls your height for you. She's just kind of guiding it. It's probably a lot easier than the Spyro flying, because no height. Man, Spyro flying is actually, like, real gutsy for a 3D platformer, like, when you think about it. Like, that's actually, like...
Congratulations, okay?
You know, like I guess there's, you know, there's flying games out there, but it's just, like, you know, it's really fast-paced, Spyro's flying. They really do demand a lot from you to, like, really understand what's going on and what is happening in 3D space. And I gotta give that game, like, so much credit for, you know, not necessarily pioneering, but definitely, like, excelling for doing a real good job at that. There you go, I'm gushing about another PS1 game. A game that was, for the longest time, exclusively a PS1 game. And no PC version existed. Until the Spyro Remastered Trilogy. Ah, wonderful segue. So, and yet, I feel the originals of those trilogy, of the original versions, the releases of that trilogy, I feel like are better, just because I'm not a big fan of how the camera is implemented on the remaster, as well as the controls feel a little different, a little stiffer. Where's that green? I've now passed through everything. I found the missing bit there, but no green, because that's still missing. So unless I've got the Spyro 3, like, anti-emulated DRM kicking in, I'm not too sure where that last green is. It's one singular... Oh my gosh. Can't believe I did that. Is that... Did I actually just do that as well? Okay, no, I've still got a life, but, like... Oh. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, a bit of an off-screen-itis right there. I'll just claim I used it to get back earlier in the level. Where could that green be? The only place I haven't double-checked is the totem room. But that's just because I was last there and I was missing the one green, so... I'm scratching my head on this one. Where could it be now? It's not like hiding along the base here. Nope. Nope. Very no. Okay. And then yeah, it's not on any of these, and it's not on the top. Kind of bizarre. Sure. Not too sure what's going on there. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents on, I guess, exclusivity, that's the term. It's not a particularly, like, yeah, I guess it's only kind of important. Like, it does affect end consumers to some degree. But it's also, like, it's not, like, a huge deal breaker, I find. If a game's not available on your platform, I feel like I just take that as a sign of going, hey, like, you know, I'm disappointed, I can't play the game. But I got other games I could play. And that's about it. As I keep saying, there's way too many games out there to get hung up on, you know, weird little nuances and to some extent, you know, games that you don't get to play anymore. Although it does suck when games get taken off services and stuff like that. It's also like, well, I mean, I can move on and forget that this game ever existed, which is, you know, I guess, like, that's a very pessimistic way of looking at it. But on the other hand, it's like, well, in the future, I also go, hey, I'm not going to bother because I know I'm not going to remember or play this game. And at that point, Game Studio's got to remember, we're the ones in charge, technically. So, play the games you want. If you're angry about something, you don't like a practice, stop playing it. Stop paying for it, most of all. Because, yeah, some people actually, like, they use the fact that they get players as, like, a metric. I know, it's weird. It's like, but, like, that's investor, just kind of process. It's like, hey, you know, like, I mean, Discord as an application was perfect for a long time, because it's like, Discord didn't have any monetization model, and yet it still got, like, millions of investor dollars because it had a growing platform. Such that then they could charge people something. But, you know, there's games out there, there's free-to-play games out there, and they don't probably make, like, a ton of money per customer, but it's just, like, the number of customers they get is so high that, like, you know, that's a good number of transactions they're getting, and also that they're, you know, they get their investor money, because suddenly investors go, hey, like, you know, there can be something cool coming out of this, and I want to own a part of it before that happens. I'm pretty sure I've, like, circled around this area a couple of times, but... Ouch. Oof. Ouchies. Fire. No fire. I don't like it. I'm very disappointed I can't find that green energy. You know what's the worst part? I'm gonna call it. I'm just gonna, like, go to the end of the level, and if I just don't see it, that'll be it. Because otherwise I'm taking too long in one level. And then I'll figure it out. I'll find it again, and I'll show it in stream footage. I don't know. I'll show it next week. You don't need it to continue. You don't have to, like, have that on there. Yeah. Very odd. One singular green dark energy. Quite odd. Oh. But yeah, no. Always watch out for investor money. That's the sign of something that's getting a little bit of the under the rug treatment. The under the rug treatment? No. I don't know. Because who knows? Sometimes it actually might be just, you know, it's a good game. It's just getting investor money. And that's kind of it. So, always be wary. How about that? That's your words to live by. Yeah. Well, that's one topic and one level that I sorely am lacking one singular piece. Maybe it despawned. Who knows? I would actually love that if, yeah, I come back to the level and it was one of, like, the weird dog things that would just drop it. Because, yeah, enemies drop dark energy. So I guess, who knows? Oh, half an hour into the stream and I've done one singular level, so how about I pick up the pace? This level looks almost the same as the last one. It's almost as if the Halloween aesthetic kind of wears a bit thin after a bit. It's even got the same enemies. Not even Spyro milked them that quick. It did sometimes, but not this time. So yeah. Alright, I got topic number 2. And that is, we have, I guess 2 pieces of hardware coming out soonish. I'll talk about the slightly more interesting... Well, I don't know if it's more interesting. Is that blowing me back? It is blowing me back. Cool. Okay. Well, that's a no-go area. The biggest one, an announcement from last week, is Apple's new MacBook Pro lineup. They have a 16-inch and a 14-inch.
Watch out, watch out! There are some dangerous water
Yeah,
currents
okay.
around here.
They got 2 new models.
So pay attention while you are in the water. Otherwise, you could be swept
I
away
always
to
find
someplace
Apple to be a
other
bit
than
of an
here,
interesting
okay?
company because on the one hand, I feel like they're kind of hit and miss with features that I like, and on the other hand, Mac OS. I use it for work. I'm not the biggest fan. I keep getting hitched on window management because it's a bit of a pain. Why is it that the dock is not Windows? Sorry, not Windows trademark, Microsoft owned software, but like, as in, I would like a view of all the windows I currently have open so I can focus on a window that is currently on. I don't want to have a view of... I guess speaker's probably going to hit this. I don't particularly want, like, a list of all the programs I've got open, although it is nice when a program does not have a window open, and I can see that it exists. And I can see that, like, a program has, like, various windows open. There is a small icon kind of indicating that, like, yeah, this program has currently got X number of windows open. But I don't particularly have the ability to click on a window in one go. Now, I'm also the kind of guy on my Windows system where I've got the expanded out windows on the bottom. So, as in, if I mean, currently I've got 2 windows of Chrome open. I have 2 buttons at the bottom, and they only collapse once the bar is full. And I think that's the way to go about it. I'm not a big fan of having to click extra times when I've got the space that I could expand things out. Give it a slap. Remember that superpower? I know, right? Oh, that's a wonderfully big beaver you've got there. Oh. Oh, okay. Time to die. Population me. When did they decide they're following you, and when did they decide they're just going back and forth? Okay, sure. Some awfully dramatic music. Alright, so... Yeah, anyways, I got my gripes with Apple. He shot to the wall. Yeah, I've got my gripes with Apple's software. I'm pretty okay with, like, how they handle hardware. And honestly, I think they're actually doing some really, like, interesting stuff because they are simultaneously, like, doing a bit of pioneering in spaces in the market and also getting real, like, hot competition when it comes to, like, the Ultrabook market, for example. So, obviously, that's what the MacBook Pro is trying to solve. It's trying to go, hey, this is a thin and light, I guess it's light to some degree, but it's definitely a thin laptop that can do all your heavy lifting work. And these new MacBook Pro devices, they're always called MacBook Pro as well. That's the worst part. You gotta just know them by the year. Except, don't forget, 2019 had 2 of them as well, so... What's it, 2019? One year had 2 MacBook Pro releases. Alright, no deaths. I've got an extra hit. So you gotta watch out, because there's multiple years of MacBook Pro. Sometimes the improvements are incremental. This time feels double regressive, as in the sense of it's regressed the regressions. So the features that they had taken out of MacBooks is now back. So the big one on this one is that they clip the wall. Okay, so the bigger one, this one is a few years back, MacBooks had removed most of the I/O and replaced it with just Thunderbolt USB. Well, they weren't USB back then, but Thunderbolt ports. So the USB-C ports. Good thing I was alive there. They are now back. There is a MagSafe charger trademark. That is Apple's magnetic plug that kind of plugs into the Mac, so you can yank the plug and the plug falls out, but you can kind of slowly tug on it and the plug does not really fall out. They've had that in MacBooks for a while, but they've now just decided to add them back after they removed them inexplicably for saying that it was the future to use USB-C. Sure, they also re-added in a full-size SD card reader and a full-size HDMI port, which I think that's actually kind of neat, and also something that not even a lot of thin and lights don't even like give you the. Why is the camera like so like caked on the ground right now? Because I can only edit the I can only move the camera left and right. I can't move it up and down. So there you go. I was thinking, no. I guess the game just decides to stick it down on the ground for you. Wow, that's a lot of dialogue, but...
Hey, that tickles.
No. Okay. So yeah, so they added that in. And one last thing, I currently am the user of a Touch Bar MacBook Pro. I'm not the biggest fan. My finger keeps hitting the virtual F11 key, and suddenly all the windows fly away, and I'm viewing the desktop because that's what F11 does. I can replace the function row with application-specific shortcuts, which is the main function of the touch bar, is that you can have applications create unique experiences. I do not have a single application that gives me a unique experience with that touch bar. Some people might use programs that do it. I don't. I use IntelliJ. They don't do it. We gotta do some memory matching again. See, this one's different. You gotta use the spin attack. Well, we got, okay, give me, we got blue, we got red, we got green, yellow, blue, red, green, yellow, blue, red, green, yellow, blue, red, green, yellow. Cool, I'm too good. Blue, green, yellow, red, yellow. Blue, green, yellow, red, yellow. Blue, green, yellow, red, yellow. Alright, one more. Red, green, blue, red, yellow, green. Red, green, blue, red, yellow, green. Red. Oh, okay. I was like, are we doing this again or nah? So yeah, so they just decided, and we're just adding just physical F keys again. So there's that. So the one asterisk on the design that some people are a little bit on the fence about, and I also a little on the fence, but I'm not too concerned. But it's a little weird. The front-facing camera is a notch insert, like the iPhone X, like the like the kind of top of the screen kind of ducks in. It's less proportion of the screen than it is on the phone, but it's still kind of across the top of the screen. I don't absolutely hate it in the way of like, oh, but you do have a menu bar up there, and quite often that menu bar is not full. It really isn't full that much. So that's actually not the worst place to put it. But it's still like, yeah, it's a bit weird. And as someone who doesn't mind having a smaller camera, yeah, I can see why some people are a little, on the fence about it, but it's not the worst, especially considering the screen is 16 by 10 when you cut that bit off. So at least you're not like, you're not suffering it for widescreen content, because most widescreen content is too wide anyway, so that's actually okay. Ultimately, the MacBook costs... the big improvement. It's using M1 Pro and M1 Max. That's Apple's in-house silicon chip. And it has... I think the biggest thing compared to the regular M1 stuff that they released last year for other devices the power target's a lot higher. So it's not that the performance is necessarily better, but it's able to pull out more juice and just be able to, you know, just pull more out of the chip just because of that. So higher clocks, just a little bit. The M1 Pro, the names are a little bit on the nose, but the M1 Pro contains more performance cores, unless it's pure efficiency cores, than the regular M1. It's a 6+2 config in this case, and there also exists a 8+2 configuration, so 2 efficiency cores but 8 performance cores. It's strange how like the 6+2 config is only available in like one like very small spec, and then everything else is just like, yeah, no, like do the 8+2. I completely blanked out on where that crack exploded, so I'm just going to assume it was way further back. Hopefully it was. I'm like half paying attention, but I don't know, man. I've gone auto on this game, I swear. It's just like my brain is just turned to mush. I'm just picking up pieces, picking up the slack. And eventually, I will just beat the game. No, this is definitely where I climbed. So unless... Nah, I couldn't have been this far back. It was a very Spyro 1 tunnel, isn't it? Oh well, time to navigate, so... Point is, it's a MacBook. I guess the biggest thing is, do you use Apple products? If the answer is no, then you'll probably just ignore this MacBook. You'll probably see people use it, and you may hear people say, it's really good. But me, as someone who does not really like using macOS, I ain't getting it. And it's not gonna win me over. Even if it was really cheap. I can't, well, actually, I don't know if you can install Windows. It's a maybe on that one, actually. But yeah, it still has the quirks of going, it's Mac. And if you don't like dealing with Mac, then yeah. And in the same way, if you don't like dealing with Windows, then, you know, fair enough. Like, that's fine. And honestly, like, I don't really know if people really... You know, like, some people out there do use Linux as a daily driver, but I just can't. I don't know, there's too many nice programs only for Windows that I'd use. And in the same way as people would probably say the same for Mac. Well, you like how that level, I just 100%, like, no sweat, didn't even die on. But, sure. Told you I was speedrunning these levels. Time to run to the end. I will say one thing about this game. I don't know, man. I'm not quite halfway. Getting close, but not quite. And I'm like, yeah, these levels are definitely wearing a bit of their variety. But, you know, we can keep playing the game. Keep experiencing things. But... I love how, as well, 99 is going to taunt me forever. Oh well. Oh well. We got the... So yeah, I guess, yeah. The key thing, and I guess this was the thing that people were taking home more than the actual chassis of the Macs. Although I think the chassis did get a fair bit of a talk. But, yeah, the key thing that people wanted to take home was this relative performance of the M1 chips and the M1 Pro and the M1 Max compared to Intel competitors. Never AMD, which has been interesting. I guess AMD's not in a lot of Ultrabooks. The only big name or like company that I know making AMD based.
Do you think she's cooking up a batch of love potion
Only do
number
this
9?
in the game, kids. Oh my gosh. Up I go. I'm going across. Here we go. This is a bit of an interesting challenge, I'll give them that. I'm definitely going somewhere. Like, I guess you could just do that and then just climb up to the top. Sure. I guess. Jeez. But yeah, I feel the thing with the announcements, and this is something everyone needs a grain of salt on. Apple is telling you that their chips are really good. Who do you think is probably going to represent Apple's chips in the best ways as possible? And bonus points, like, what's our relative performance? I know there exists like Geekbench. I think that's a benchmarking suite, and it's got like both a Windows and a Mac version. You're still kind of relying on some of the implementation being the same on both operating systems, which in software you can lean towards, yeah, probably, but I'd still also say it's a benchmark, and maybe your use case isn't quite at the snuff. And also bonus points, do you need the horsepower? I know some people like would absolutely hate that answer of like, oh, but it's great, like, you know, value and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, I guess, but is it good? Sorry, no, is it good? That's not the question. Is it like, do you need it? Because if something is better than what you need it for, it's not as practical as it actually could be. It's great in the sense of like, and I know there's like someone's going to take this as like, you know, Intel apologist goes, you don't need good performance in a computer. But you know what I mean? It's like there are people out there who, and in fact there's a lot of people, I'd say, I don't know how many, but there's a lot of people out there where it's like they will legitimately get a computer and then not really push the computer. We might have this in the realms of gaming for some. If any of you guys go, oh, look at this guy, he bought, you know, 3 3080 Ti's for their computer, and I'm like, well, what are you gonna play on this? It's like just a game, one singular game. It's like NVLink's barely even supported on games. Like, you know, there's stuff like that where it's like I you know, people will buy stuff that's way more extravagant than they even need. And I mean, to some degree as well. It's like, hey, here am I playing this on a 1080 Ti. I don't think it's even running on the 1080 Ti. I think it's just the display out. I think I'm rendering it all in software. This bit where you gotta just jump backwards just to grab some things. They're really pushing for space. Like, how many we got? We got 450 in this one level. They're really pushing us. Stick all these things in there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, I guess the Ultrabook is probably not the most representative place of people buying or overbuying computers. But I think you know what I mean, where it's like, and maybe especially in the Apple space, like people will buy flagship iPhones and it's like, what do you use your phone for? Spotify? I listen to music. I'll take photos, and it's like, do you particularly care about the quality of your photos, or you just kind of like taking photos? It's like, I like taking photos. It's like, there's cheaper phones out there, like dramatically cheaper phones. You know, that kind of stuff, where it's like, yeah, I mean, some people are going to indulge, sure, but... Ooh, there they go, they rotate. Yeah, people are going to indulge in stuff, but yeah, I do feel like there's a degree of like, well, one, do you need it? And then on the other hand, actually, like, even the you know, like, I've even mentioned this with like Ryzen stuff, where it's like, you know, there's the 5950X, it's, or sorry, I'll even say the 3950X. It's like the you know, the 1950X was a Threadripper. It was in the TRX socket, and now they've implemented it kind of in the computer socket, in the home computer socket, in AM4. And I'm like, that's cool, but also, yeah, like, there's a reason why it was probably not, like, too demanded because it's a lot of horsepower, and yeah, a lot of people out there. I know mates who bought it, and I'm just like, how much of those 16 cores ever get used like all at once? It's great. You don't have to worry about your bottlenecking, but like, does it ever happen? Because yeah, like there's a lot of people out there where their use cases don't push like for 100%, or they're not really striving. They're not aiming to maximize performance over time. They're just. I'm a little bit worried, but sure. You know, they're just kind of, you know, trying to run things in a good way, but and then, you know, future-proof maybe, but it's like, well, I mean, it's only future-proof when you end up using it. I'm coming off very cynical today. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Point is, MacBook. It's a good computer from the looks of it. I don't know if it's necessarily amazing on price. It's starting at 3,000 Australian for that base model, and definitely kind of demands that you pay a bit more for some extra features like the quicker charging, and you probably want the 2 more cores, and you probably don't want a half terabyte SSD, and you probably don't want 16 gigs of RAM, and that kind of stuff, and it all adds up to way more, and that's exactly how they get people, but that's okay. Yeah, the price doesn't seem too weird, and honestly, I think actually the best part about it is that it doesn't make the other systems obsolete. The base M1 is not, like, it's not an inferior version of the chip, it's just a lower power target of the same chip. And therefore, you're, like, you know, you're not really losing out on anything by paying, you know, the extra now, because it's like, well, those are cheaper versions. If you only need the cheaper version, and people have been liking those cheaper versions so far, there's no particular hard need to rush out and get it. But, on the other hand, I'm a lowly Windows user, so what do I know? That's all fine. I don't even know, like, what's the best, like, Intel? Just Windows equivalents. I keep hearing, like, Dell XPS, Surface, sometimes. The Surface is a bit of a weird one. Lower the spikes! Just fun backtracking. I think I remember, like, just falling off a cliff on this level a couple times in the past. Like that! I got baited so hard just then. Oh. That's an awfully close checkpoint, so I'm at least glad on that one. Wait. No, it's not. It's not an awfully close checkpoint. Where? I swear I was looking at the slope, and then that was not the... Sorry, I swear I was looking at the ledge, and then it turned out to be a much smaller ledge. And now I have one singular life, and we're back into the same problem that I literally just jinxed myself into. But, sure. I'll accept my fate, so... now, this new chip leads me into another fun but mildly connected topic, which is Intel has new processors that are coming out rather soon. They're announcing them basically as the time it's like this VOD comes up, so maybe not like now, but like a couple of days. That being said, people have somehow gotten their hands on Intel 12900Ks. Products that they have not yet announced. I have no insider knowledge, so I'm not leaking anything. I'm just reading what I'm seeing on the internet. But I mean, granted, like, people have already hinted at, like, the architecture and all that stuff. So in the same way as Apple's M1 chips have, you know, like those performance and those efficiency cores, Intel's aiming to do the exact same thing, but maybe a little more overkill and probably with a much higher power target, but they actually don't seem too rough from the looks of it. The 12900K is an 8-core, it's two 8 cores. They've got their Golden Cove, I think it's Golden Cove, and then Gracemont are the names of like the two like mini architectures, and they all add up into one large architecture called Alder Lake. And yeah, they're basically aiming to kind of achieve the same purpose, where it's like, you know, hey, we can fit, you know, more cores in, but yeah, at the cost of, like, you know, different cores are different you know, power levels. Dios mío.
Playing with blocks, okay? Well, if you insist, then you'll be able to do it when you rescue Carmen, okay?
Ah, yeah. So I remember this one. You basically had to push pull blocks and swap the sides. I don't believe these had any like particular like I guess position they really have to be in, but you gotta swap them. So the easiest way is to just, you know, trap one in here and then start moving them out. It's not particularly like tricky as a puzzle, but it's definitely just a time sinker there. But sure, you know, something different. But yeah, Intel's got some of that stuff announced. I think they're in a bit of an interesting spot because compared to AMD on this one, AMD announced their stuff this time last year, and they came out with the 5600X and the 5800X and the 5900X and the 5950X, and then they came out with a bunch of other stuff sometime in the middle, but nothing really to target that X lineup. The elusive 5700X, nothing targets. Yeah, nothing replaces the 3700X from before, except maybe the 5800X, because same core config, but it's still a pricey chip. People who don't follow tech stuff are probably just absolutely hating the number of product names I'm just stating. Point is, AMD's got a lot of different chips, but they seem to have, like, oddly not fleshed out their lineup. They're just kind of encouraging people to only buy so many, like, you know, existing, you know, so many SKUs. Intel just, like, when they announce a new lineup, they always just go, everything, it's all there. You can go all the way up to the 12900K, and you're bound to get 12100 for, like, you know, maybe not day one, but it's definitely there in, like, a month. You know, they move them out quick. So, I always give Intel credit on that. I think Intel's 11th gen is a bit of a weird one, because like, the chipset that they released at the same time, it unlocked some fair bit stuff, like the B-series boards unlocks memory overclocking, and then they tried doing their, like, extreme power boost, I don't know what the name is, I'm sorry, of, but yeah, they're, like, boosting technology, they're boosters booster technology. It just keeps stacking in very weird ways, and it ends up being more and more, like, you know, just context specific. Like, just sometimes it'll boost and sometimes you just won't get that boost. I scratched my head on that one, I don't know. But yeah, on the 11900K, it ended up being, that's actually a bit of a regression from the last gen, the 10900K. They put 2 fewer cores in it, and ultimately that boosting tech does not do it justice. So, and that's a bit of a sad one on Intel, when you actually do regress and you don't actually continue. That being said, the 11600K, the top of the range i5, I hear was actually really good. It was really solid, and same thing with the 10600K. Like, Intel, at the very least, they were struggling to push that upper bound, but their mid bound is surprisingly actually pretty okay. So, and that's something that, like, I keep seeing articles of, like, Intel is, you know, Intel's now back in the race, and I'm like, I feel like they just kind of fell off the top end. And they've always kind of been trailing on the top end since Ryzen started, you know, really kind of rolling out those high core clocks. Because it's like, oh, Intel could kind of go, oh, okay, like, we've got 6 core chips and then 8 core chips, like, very, very quickly with the 8th and 9th gen. But, yeah, they kind of struggled after that, and this is very precarious as well. I like how the music just died as well. He just does full jumps. He's cheating. Oh, come off. Oh, you can only activate it from one direction as well? Oh, no. No!
Wow!
Does that count as a death, or I just gotta try the challenge again?
Oh, this is sad. You should have beaten him, Robin. Next time you will, okay?
You should have beaten him, Robin. Just silent Muppets at this point. It's actually dead silent. Wow. So, yeah, like, I'm not gonna say I'm rooting for Intel in the sense of like, you know, they're a company and they release products, and most of the time I'm probably not gonna buy it because I don't buy computer parts that often. But if you're a new computer buyer, I actually don't hate the Intel option. I don't think I've ever really, like, you know, said you shouldn't buy the Intel option. There was a point in time when the Ryzen 3600 was just a de facto, like, best value chip for everyone. That was before the bits of a scare where people on the B450 motherboard were not... He was about to shut me down. People on the B450 motherboard were not going to get the Ryzen 5000s on that motherboard. But now they have. And yep, that chipset is done after this point. Will AMD announce something? I think they might.
Nice job again.
I think they might, but I don't know if it's going to be a new generation because I'm pretty sure they were doing the new generation in the beginning of next year. So if anything, that gives Intel a head start. And yeah, whenever you release something, actually that gave Intel 2 head starts because they did the 11th gen at the beginning of this year. The 11th gen is newer than Ryzen 5000, than Zen 3, but yeah, sure. I will go back for that bonus, but I'm just clearing out the rest of the space. Oh, this level's almost done. Well, that's the end of the level, so time to go back. Did I get all the tokens? Everyone popped out of the bonus. There's a handful of yeah, there's 10 remaining dark energy as well. Evil energy, sorry. Every time. Hola. Maybe I'll see it while walking backwards. Yeah, if anything, like, that's exciting times as a CPU. Oh, it's right there. Yeah. Can I reach it from here, or? Cool. Okay. I don't remember where the bonus was exactly. I remember this was, like, at the beginning of the level. And, yeah, I think the bonus was just further down this way. No, I guess I had to work my way back anyways. Okay, well. But yeah, no, I think it's actually pretty exciting times as a CPU owner, because especially, and actually even bonus points as a GPU owner, as really any computer owner, because I nearly killed myself then. Because computers are really darn good. And people are designing software that scales, at least in the games crowd. This is like a real, like, great time to just, like, you know, be a gamer to some extent, or even just anyone, really. Because, like, you know, no longer are you bound by hardware to really, like, get into something. You can do software. Sorry, you can do music. A lot of it in software before you really need to start, you know, dedicating things out to hardware. You can do video editing with really, like, entry-level graphics cards now. Now, granted, entry-level graphics cards in this market are still really pricey, but, you know, the theory is there. You can do, yeah, you can do computer work. You can do, like, you know, I mean, any neural net stuff on a more moderate graphics card is, like, that's crazy. That's the thing. This isn't back where I once was, nah. This level, it's a bit of a snake. It's a bit of a winding level. So, I don't know. I think now is actually a really exciting time to at least, like, consider computer stuff. But also just kind of go like, yeah, I mean, this is getting pretty powerful now. I don't particularly need this. Maybe the bonus was down here? I don't remember it being down here. Oh, I guess it was. Sure. Cool. Well, that's 100. So, time to yeet to the end. Yeah, this level just kind of goes, doesn't it? It's very bizarre level. Sure. Okay. To the Mushroom Island. So yeah, that's it really. I mean, computer parts. I think I mentioned the 12900K unofficial benchmarks look rather promising compared to Like the 12900K compared to the 5950X, which is actually, that's actually rather exciting that Intel is releasing a product that's competing with AMD's equivalent flagship and doing a remarkably good job. Now, granted, it's coming out a year later, but it's also like, hey, you know, that's something. If you can keep pace, that's pretty alright. That was a long description of the level just there. So, we're due for another boss battle, for boss time. Yeah, anyways, people are probably bored out of their minds hearing about computer stuff and specs and stuff that's ultimately...
Ah, you look like Frog, but soon you must duck.
He tried. He tried. Ah! Oh my gosh. I love, like... these I love these 3D games. It's just like, you do stuff like that, it's just such a joke. Oh, I like this. The generic ground pound attack.
Spinning crates again.
Heave-ho! Heave-ho!
Evil.
Heave-ho! Heave-ho!
Oh, okay.
Heave-ho!
Hi. You want to move me forward? You want to move me? Yeah, okay. It decided to just not. Yeah, okay. So just do that 3 times. We gotta do a fade out just in case. I love these kinds of bosses as well, just because it's just like, okay, so he's gonna just attack me constantly until he just delivers something where I can hit him once, and then he gets afraid.
Ooh, avoid the spinning crates again.
Do you have to tell me that?
Heave-ho! Heave-ho!
I'm being chased by the crab.
Heave-ho!
Ooh, I dodged the crab. I'm dodging the crabs. I don't need no health. I don't need no stinking health. I got it. And I still took the hit anyways. My life is a sham. Right here. I remember Croc doing something like this as well. It's weird. Everyone remembers Croc. Like... it's way more popular than I'd expect for, like, the number of sales it got. And also the fact that it's not, like... it's not a franchise, and it's not by a developer who still exists, and it doesn't get re-released. It's just a 3D platformer that existed at the time. Like, and that's it. Like, at least Glover sold a butt ton. Everyone knows what Glover is, because everyone played Glover. Croc, I don't know, man. Ah, he broke my cycle. Because I was on the complete opposite side of the field. What do? Jump over the crabs? No. You play the attrition game. You wear them out. You wear them thin. Just remember, Kermit's his uncle, I think.
Ooh, avoid the spinning crates again.
They're not even spinning. He's throwing them.
Heave-ho! Heave-ho!
Alright, I'm gonna be close to it.
Heave-ho!
There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go.
Ha!
Just get him with a snipe shot right there. Come on, watch out, there's crabs. He's still massive, jeez.
Good work, Robin.
Up yours, Robin. He's flipping the bird on me right there. Jeez. I do a terrible Kermit impression. Don't laugh. Or do laugh. Laugh at my pain. Laugh at my suffering. I care immensely. I can hear you through the screen. Alright, well, 456. So, continuing on, more levels, but, you know, that's a day in the life of someone who plays Muppet Monster Mania for the Nintendo PlayStation. Yeah. So, here's a question. What games have I been playing throughout the past week? It's like the other music, but it's slightly different, so props, I guess. What games have I been playing? I've been playing one particular game. I just love when my beam just like I move forward and it doesn't. I don't quite get him. it really should last a bit longer. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the beam. But the one game I have been playing is Blood 2. The critically acclaimed asterisk sequel to Blood, the build engine love letter to horror games and movies and stuff. Blood 2 is remarkably less of that, but none of it. It was released in '99, I believe, the same year as Quake 3, and definitely after Half-Life 1. And it definitely feels like they just kind of really liked Half-Life 1, but it definitely feels older of a game. It's not. It kind of feels like Daikatana to some extent, of just like it's not quite there. It's a little off. So Blood 2, you play as the same character from the first game. He's voiced by the same guy, and he does a pretty good job. He delivers some one-liners and a bit of good humor. I enjoy it. The gunplay is a bit Granted, I think the gunplay in Blood is a little bit as well, because the weapon variety is a bit more unconventional. Like, instead of a pistol, you have a flare gun, and that just means that enemies just don't die immediately. Blood 2 kind of remedies that by setting you in a more modern situation. So you've just got trains and, you know, not New York buildings, but you know what I mean. It's like you're fighting between, like, building alleyways for a fair bit of the beginning of the game, and then you're going through, like, office spaces and, like, mines and train tunnels and sewers. Like, if anything, it's actually, like, surprising how modern the game is, like, set. You also will have pistols and SMGs and an assault rifle, and then you get, like, these dual barrel shotguns, and they're pretty cool. The flare guns are still there, although they look kind of more modernized. There's some other kind of fun gimmicky weapons as well, which I actually kind of like, even if some of them do suck. So, you actually get the,
Watch out, watch out! There are some dangerous water.
That's the same line of dialogue from,
So pay
the
attention
one level
while
with the
you're in
mines
the
earlier
water.
as well, by the way.
Otherwise, you could be swept away to someplace other than here, okay?
Can't believe it. But yeah, I actually kind of like the weapon variety. So one of the weapons, there's like a fertilizer gun. So it's like you spray out, like, just, you know, poop at people. And then, the alt fire, launches a bit of a flame on that one, which is actually kind of neat. It's not quite a flamethrower, but, you know, it's pretty neat. I liked it. I see this bit over here, and I know I've got to race this guy, but let me grab my N-word pass first.
Ready or not, time to play hide and seek, okay?
Where could the ghost be hiding? Did you want music? You don't get that music. You don't need it. Yeah. But my likings of the game start to dip after a bit. First of all, the enemies in the game are a bit very annoying, I'll just say. The game's... I played on the middle of the 3 difficulties, and I found it was a bit on the cheap side. Not necessarily hard. I would kind of get my way through encounters after a bit, but a lot of the generic enemies are hit scanners, and they just hit you, and that's kind of it. And you've got not really any way to get around that. You're just gonna take damage. You're gonna just get hit. Just accept it. That's it, basically. But on top of that, you've got these kind of like bulkier... they're almost aliens. Not quite, but they definitely almost fit the bill. Maybe they're mutants. They spit stuff at you and jump at you really quick, but they seem to keep bugging out and just not really doing a whole lot of damage to me. But they definitely like try real hard. Ah, come on. I know symbolically the bars prevent me, but physically the bars should not prevent me like that. Ooh. I feel like the rest of the water is just to blow me back here. I don't know why they even have to tell you that. It should be very self-explanatory if you fall in the water and you end up at an area that you were at, like, before. And bonus points for them reusing the line of dialogue and saying, oh, you may end up in a place that's not here, but you 100% are going to end up in a place that's here, because that's how the water is leading. Also, that's a waterfall, which means I don't even think any of this water leads me anywhere, but sure. Sure, okay. But yeah, what are some of the other enemies? Yeah, there's some real, like, tanky enemies near the end of the game as well. And the bosses take forever as well. Like, they just give you a butt ton of ammo, and then you're gonna burn through most of your ammo and be a little bit stuffed afterwards. I actually found the final boss was a bit interesting, because yeah, I had completely run out of ammo, and I was just relying on my kind of recharging death orb. And was it the life snatcher? The skull on the stick. I like that weapon. It's very cool. Near the end of the game. But it's just like, yeah, I'm relying on that to do very, very slow damage when the shotgun was doing really good damage earlier. So there's a fair bit of that. Yeah, I felt I was taking a lot of damage and couldn't really do anything about it. You get a med kit in your inventory, so when you pick it up, you can heal yourself up to 100 at any point later on, and you can partially use it as well, so basically just a free 100 health at some later point. But even then, it's like, man, you know, there's a lot of the time when I would just take damage, and I've got no better way of avoiding it.
Stuck? Hmm? Try pushing a block around again.
Great hint. Real good hint. So it did get kind of annoying there. Ultimately, I also felt some of the levels... I felt some of the level design, in fact, the game as a whole, it felt like a bit of a practical joke. Like, it's like, yes. So, I'm just going to describe the first chapter. You hop off a train, or rather, the train crashes, and you end up on a train platform, where you then work your way through some city areas until you end up in these, like, back alleys leading into a museum, I think? And then you do a couple of levels in this museum. And right at the top of the museum, you find an exit, and it leads you back into the street. The same street you came in on. But it's technically a future map, and therefore some areas are now open up now. And so you go into this other area, which leads to like a plane. Like an actual plane. You ride the plane into the air, and now you're on like this plane base. And you're finding a way, and then you blow it up, and you fall from the sky, and you land exactly into the same town, like, back alley. You literally land back there. And I felt this has to be a joke, right? Anyway, so then you continue on, you finally fight a boss, you end up on a train that looks exactly the same as the train you started the game with. And the game does this a couple of times. It doesn't quite count as backtracking, because it is like another level, but it's also like, it feels like a bit of a joke, because it's like, wow, like, I feel like I'm going nowhere. Because I'm not even like, it's not like, oh, you're backtracking, but you've picked up a key, or you've picked up like some elusive item that you couldn't have gotten before. It's like, I kind of went through this area, got nothing, and ended up coming back to an old area just because someone else unlocked a door. It's rather bizarre. I've never felt level design that's been like that, like, tone deaf, we'll say? I don't know, actually. It's strange. Hi there.
If you're stuck, try finding hidden switches again.
Oh my gosh, wow, jeez. These are not useful hints. I'm expecting him to give me a challenge. I'm not expecting him to tell me what a switch is. Meanwhile, a guy comes around with a shotgun. Or a blunderbuss at this rate. I love how I'm saying this in the context of, like, weird backtracking as well. It's like, oh, how about you do weird backtracking, and then... Here am I, a level where I had to hit the switch just to get that one door to open. Thank you, open door. I'm not too sure what's going on with this music. Worst part is I think someone worked hard on it, but... That's the weird part about, like, Halloween music, is, like, at what point do you go from Halloween to, basically, like, stage music? Like, theater? but it's got a drum kit in this mix, so I don't even know. It just develops from like one theme into another. Who knows? Weird part is that as well, like Halloween music, you can actually do whatever the heck you want. Like we've done like, you know, we can do rock spooky, we can do like jazz spooky, like you can definitely get that kind of stuff. Yeah, of course we've got the more operatic. I bet you can probably do like I mean, Gent is spooky enough, so that's its own thing. Then we have like, I was gonna say horrorcore. That's not quite it, but you know what I mean. It's like, you know, you can do hip hop in a spooky way. This is the most literal level design I've seen. Ooh, it doesn't even go all the way back. It just kind of stops a little in front. Okay, I'll accept your level design. Ugh. Nothing to my right? Nope. But yeah. Blood took me 6.5 hours. And then they had the Nightmare Levels expansion, which took me 1 hour. It was very short. Felt like a bit of a joke, but it had its own bits, but then it also didn't explore it really at all. It introduced some other side characters. Hi. Hi. Did you just forget that you were talking to me? Yeah, jeez.
Everybody, vamonos! Get your feet wet, okay?
Alright, do you remember where all of these were? Maybe I'll see him. Who knows? Yeah, it felt like a bit of a joke. To that degree, I would mildly recommend it because the shooting was good fun. Remember, these guys later went to develop the Fear games, and people do really like at least the first game. So that's got solid shooting. This game, yeah, like it feels alright. I don't mind it. Oh yeah, the other thing with the weapons as well is that you've got like 10 weapon slots. There's like 16 or so weapons in the game, so you had to do a little bit of management and drop items you didn't care about. And I was like, why do I have to do that? It's a bit odd. So, a little disappointed as well. Yeah, they had the inventory system. They didn't really have anything to like really use in it. They had one item called the eye, and I thought it was kind of neat. You throw down an eyeball, and then you can reuse the item, and you basically like your camera just moves into the eye, and so you're just looking out of the thing you just threw on the ground. Very hilarious. I like it. And then you just pick it up again. Except people blow it up all the time, so it was not very practical. Also, yeah, enemies would just... I mean, stealth's not really a thing. Enemies will just kind of like come up to you right away, but they do fight each other, at least. So, near the end of the game, it kind of got a little easier because I just kind of let the enemies go at each other. See ya. I know I missed the O as well. That's the worst part. That's what backtracking is for. Is it me or are these levels getting like bit unfairly long? Well, that definitely is the end of the level because I can hear it. But yeah, no, Blood 2, it's okay. It also is oddly not listed for a price in Australia on Steam. I bought it ages ago, but yeah, that's a bit weird that you can't buy it. I don't know. Alright, so what am I missing? I'm missing 2 of those. One is probably in the bonus at the end, and then the 21 thingies, so... I've done 2 challenges. I did the ghost and the pots, so it's probably just lying somewhere. Part of me thinks it's in here, but then I'm like, you know, you wouldn't hide it then there. Okay, trust the level designers, but don't trust the level designers. I know this was just for like a bit at the end. And yeah, it was for a bit at the end. Cool. Yeah. What was another game I played? I played Fighters Megamix for the Saturn. This game came out 97, only for the Saturn, but it was hilarious good fun. It's a fighting game that combines the features of Virtua Fighter and gosh, someone's gonna yell at me on this one. It was Fighters. Gosh. My brain wants to say Fighting Strikers. I'm blanking out real hard. Brain fart. Alright, it's merging two fighting games. I know they're both developed by AM2, and this is developed by AM2, so it's actually just kind of like a fun hybrid of the two. Except I don't know anything about either fighting game, really, so all I can say is it's a kind of floaty, but actually kind of neat, fun fighting game. It's got, it's pretty simple. It's got 3 buttons. Did I push this box? No, I did, because it's on a Switch. I was like, it looks like there's a ledge here, but no. Yeah. This is a bit of an out-of-place platform, isn't it? Yeah. I don't see there being any useful stuff in any of this water. What's the point? What is the point of water? Don't need it. Can't believe it. So, but yeah, no, Fighters Megamix was actually pretty alright. And this is coming from a guy who actually doesn't play a lot of fighting games. I usually find it's a bit like, you know, it's a bit tiring to have to learn combos and then play as a guy and then kind of spam the same combos over and over again. I know not every fighting game is like that, but I find the most egregious ones are the ones where that ends up being the case for me. I end up only really relying on a handful of strats because that seems to work. Fighters Megamix is a little like that to some degree, but I think it's a little more fun just because the matches are short. You end up having to fight people rather frequently. And I don't know, you're kind of encouraged to just switch characters and just have a good time with it. That's actually kind of neat. I did like it for that. I'm missing 5. Is it also on that ledge? This is the beginning of the level, so maybe there's something around here, but there's 5 more. I didn't see any energy pop out of the thing at the end, so it'd be a bit weird for me to leave any of this behind, but yeah, that's a bit weird. I'm really hoping again it's not just like enemy decided to just not drop it. Is that actually... I don't know if anyone knows if that's actually a glitch with this game, that just energy sometimes just doesn't drop. Try it again. Like, run the game again and just hope he drops energy. That'd be a very obnoxious glitch. I'm just gonna run to the end if I don't see it on my way through. Because, legit, I'm already at an hour and a half, and I know I've got to play another 3 levels after this, so... I am gonna really try and 100%, but... I'd rather just find it and show it than, like, wander around forever. I know I said that after doing an entire stream of Pokemon Gold, where I sat in Victory Road and grinded about 7 levels on every Pokemon. But that's a technicality. That's not fact. Or it is fact, but... yeah, other than that, Fighters Megamix is actually pretty alright fun. I don't know if it's necessarily like you'll get like bajillions of content out of it, but it's actually kind of neat and a good laugh, and actually it's not too complex to get into, which I think is good fun. Like, you feel like you're doing something pretty alright, The AI, I feel, still cheats. Like, the AI seems to immediately react to me, like, unholding the block button or that kind of stuff. And then will just leave itself open and repeat attacks sometimes. So, the difficulty kind of just depended on what the game was feeling like. Which I felt was a bit weird, but... overall, I mean, yeah, I had a good time. So, would recommend. And that's it for my game playing. Nothing really too big otherwise. It's still the eternal quest of playing more Forza and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'm tending towards getting that out of the way. I've done the math. I've got 24 events. Cups. Not cups. Oh, there it was. Wow. Okay. Cool. I told you I'd find it. I told you. Alright, and for reference, the last token is way around here, but it'll show up on the way. That's always a fun one with driving games, is that they can be whatever length they want to be, because they know that people are just going to play it whatever. I guess I'm the sucker who's playing it on the long race setting, but that's because I also kind of want to like get money for the cars. I am really enjoying playing as a bit of a car collecting game and trying out different cars all the time. Even if you are stuck in the same car for the whole cup, it's kind of just good fun, just having a lot of different cars. Yeah, it's bizarre. I didn't really like the first game very much when I just got it and played the first game, and then picked up 7, and I know I can't really pick up any of the others on the way, but picked up 7, and it's been good. I've really enjoyed it. It still has some presentation-y aspects that I've still... Wow, I keep, like, running, and then the camera's just like, yep, nope. It's got some presentation-y things that I'm still, like, on the fence about. Like, the music is still rather generic. I would prefer just, like, a soundtrack, even if... some of Forza's soundtracks get a little grating after a while. Wow, someone's gonna look at this and go, wow, do you know how to platform? No, I guess not. But you see what I mean? It's like the camera like starts darting out. I don't know. I'm going insane. If you were in my shoes, you would make the exact same mistakes sometimes. Maybe. Oh well. Yeah. Oh, there goes that one. We got Arabian Frights. That's the one. Okay, real talk. I don't know any, like... I mean, like, I've seen Aladdin as the Disney film, and only the original. I don't know anything about really, like, Arabian stories. Well... Maybe it wasn't Spyro. Oh, I remember this level had the most horrendous frame rate. Just this level. It was... Maybe not just this level, but... They got the music. We got the mummy guys. It's a 100% authentic Arabian level right here. Can I jump up here, or is it a no-go? Guess it's a no-go. Maybe I'll find a way later. Those are definitely some enemies. Maybe it clears up once I've knocked some player counts. This was a box to push. The second most useful ability. Pushing. Yeah, okay. This is a bit of a weird way that you'd have to like backtrack just for like 2 gems. 2 thingies. Sure. Alright. Yeah. So yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, it is Halloween on Sunday. So I guess, yeah, like, you can... That is a metal shield, apparently. It's brown. They've played on my heartstrings already. Oh, what's going on over there, man? I love how, as well, that's off by a little bit. You gotta be very aware of what this level design is attempting to go with. and also how to get comboed. Sure. I don't mind like Arabian themed levels in like these games. I know Spyro's done few.
Why did it have to be snakes? I hate these snakes, okay? Did you see what I did there? A little Indiana Jones thing. This is good, no? I'm so good at the interpretations, okay?
Wow!
I guess LucasArts.
Snakes?
They're able to drop the
Why
name,
did it
aren't
have
they?
to be snakes? I hate these snakes, okay?
LucasArts? No, sorry, Lucasfilm. I don't know if
Did you see what I
LucasArts
did
even
there?
exists anymore.
Little Indiana Jones thing. This is good, no? I'm so good at the interpretations, okay?
Waka waka woo!
It's such like a tongue-in-cheek delivery. Alright, there you go. I believe you could just glide all the way to the other side. Oh, maybe the tall tower there. How can you do your Arabian music and then do a woo, like kind of theremin style effect? I feel like it's one over. We've not done the alien level, and we always like aliens show up a lot in horror for some reason. Like, and it's weird because sorry, not yeah, well, yeah, horror, Halloween, like just spookiness. And I guess that's the fun part about horror as a genre. It's not particularly like set in stone.
Way to go, okay?
Like, and in fact, horror can be anything. Horror can be crazy killer. It can be like, it can be supernatural. It can be like overbearing. Just kind of like, you know, a fear or psychological. And yeah, it can be aliens. It can just be extraterrestrial. Any kind of otherworldliness. There's a lot of things that you can do with horror, which I actually think is kind of cool and something that this game... I mean, it's not really a spooky game, but it does... Whoa, the checkpoint is right there! The checkpoint was right there. Oh, my heartstrings are dead. As well as the extra heart container, but... Just in case. Just in case. I love how you can save mid-level, by the way. Like, if I'm about to die, I'm just doing that, man. Spyro doesn't even give you the courtesy of giving you a mid-level save. Well, actually, it does. It does, never mind. Do I bother? Oh, no, I'm coming back to this level later anyways. You see how it, like, double throws it sometimes? Like, yeah, that's good fun. And just icing on the cake. Hide this down here. How many tokens are there in the game? They've got 3 digits, so it better be 100. I'm gonna be sorely disappointed if it's not. It's bound to be 100, maybe 120. Who knows? I don't feel like I'm really gaining anything by finding the tokens. I don't know. It's a weird feeling. It's like you just kind of get them. I think it's because they don't make a sound. You just kind of pick them up like anything else. The heart is like more of a moment. I keep flaming them. I keep hitting them with the thing, but it's a spin. These little dudes. What are they doing? Oh. And I got the spring sound effect as part of the Arabian music. He only had so many sounds on the sound font. He's gonna use all of them, dang it. Yeah, this was a jump. Was it that? I'm pretty sure it was that. Yeah. It probably wasn't that, but I'm just gonna do it anyways, because stuff your level design. We got the O. Alright, 1. Ah! Whoa. You gotta cut that real precariously, don't you? they force you to do it twice because they put goodies at the top here. How could they? So you gotta stop here, you gotta go. Oh, no. Do you think bonus becomes shorter or longer depending on the language? If I had to give this game no credit, I'd say bonus doesn't change on the language, but I would love if, I was gonna say Latin, that's not, that's not a good example, that's literally the word. I don't know, what does bonus, like, translate in other languages? I think maybe you gotta jump down from another higher ledge, because, yeah, I don't think you can jump from the box here. But yeah, I mean, it probably just stays as being bonus, because in the same way as, like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of, I'm trying to think of another, like, especially a Japanese game that's got, like, English letters as, like, something you collect. And it's just, like, definitely, like, that's something that they just keep as part of the language. I don't think I can make that jump. Oh, I guess I can. Sure. Okay, sure. Yeah, I always find that's a bit interesting. Just like, yeah, Japanese games that have, like, specifically English in them. And, like, there's fun hybrids. My brain's latching onto Pepsi Man for the PS1. Japanese only. Pepsi Man's a Japanese, like, exclusive character. They only use him to advertise Pepsi in Japan. And yet, the game that he's in is entirely in English. It's got English voice acting. It's got English everything except subtitles for when people are speaking in English. That's the only time stuff is in Japanese. It's amazing that, like, there's that much English in, yeah, this Japan-only release. And that's why, like, when people go, oh, like, you gotta play Pepsi Man, this might be Japan only. That's one reason why you could do it, because you're really not bound by language on that one. On the flip side, yeah, I don't think there's that many games that really, like, that are in English. Pepsi is an American company. Maybe they did to make it feel exciting. Maybe. Do we have, I guess we've got, like,
Stuck? Try pushing a block around again.
I don't know, actually. Do we have I was gonna say, like, are there, like, English, like, mascots, but it's, like, they're in, like, a non-English language in some ways, and then my brain's thinking, like, Dora the Explorer. But I don't know if that's just because they teach you, like, they're just wanting to teach you Spanish in the show, so Dora's Spanish. But, I don't know, I'll take it. She speaks she speaks Spanish in the show. Not exclusively Spanish, but sure. So, yeah, it probably does happen. Making things exotic for various reasons. But yeah, as for, like, English to Japanese, I don't feel like there's a lot of English to Japanese, like, even given games getting localized and stuff. I think there's things where, like, you know, a character's name will stay the same. I was gonna say, like, Final Fantasy. It's like, I mean, Final Fantasy's got very, like, westernized names a lot. Like, what, Cloud is a very Japanese name, apparently. It's got L's in it. But then it's like, well, I mean, like, what's one? I don't know, actually. There's a lot of Japanese games that get, like, just translated over into, you know, into pretty straight English. And then I can't really think of any, like, English games that will just, like, force you into Japanese. They seem like, I don't know. And then bonus points for English games and games developed by, I guess, like, English creators or, you know, English-speaking nation creators. And they completely, like, 180 on, like, well, what you'd expect for Japan. So I'll always remember the Spyro the Dragon Japanese version. It's very odd. It's got a hint system. It's not in the original version. It's just got things where, like, not like the dragon's still speaking English. It's still the same voice acting, I believe. But but there's just various points in the game where Sparks will just tell you, and the game will just pause and give you a sign saying, hey, you can do this. You can press L2 and R2 to do a thing. Despite, like, there being a dragon that tells you that. And then bonus points, the game's camera is pulled further back and the game moves slower than it does on the US version. I think it's just the first Spyro. I can't remember if the other ones do. I think they also animated his eyes bigger. Just I don't know why. I don't know why I put the boxes this far apart. They actually can be right next to each other as well. Interesting puzzle, but sure. But yeah, I get, like, that one's a fun one where it's like the Japanese version is different in ways that you wouldn't expect, because often, like, people would, you know, at least back in the day, people would go like, oh, Japanese versions of games are harder. And, like, I mean, yeah, Japan-only games, like, really kick your butt. Also, yeah, what's not an enemy? This guy. I just come up to him, spin him, and I was like, oh, okay.
Everybody ready?
Percy.
Okay.
Percy.
On your mark, get set, go, 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 go!
There he goes. I'm racing Percy. He's going. And then I just want you to jump on these platforms and he's gonna absolutely cheat! Oh my gosh! Woo! And then he's gonna go a little easy on the straights. He's going a little bit easy and then he's gonna absolutely cheat the jumps. Oh! Oh, that's filth! That's filth! What are you doing? You can't even take like a shortcut here. You gotta just wing it. But then you win anyways, because he's not Cooper the Quick. You're faster than him.
Nice job again. You owe him a Muppet token, bastard.
There I go. I'm too good. Alright, so make sure I come back here for the bonus. What a massive jump. It's been a while since they... And that's the end of the level as well. It's been a while since they, like, you know, put a massive jump into the level. Oh, jeez, yeah, 83%. The gold box only opens once you picked up all the bonus. So I can't do it just now until I've picked up all the bonus letters. Such as this one. It just opens up for me. What a tease as well, like, that's it. Can I actually... Oh, I can jump back there, yeah. Maybe that's it. Don't have to fret too much about this level, it's just... solves itself. Look at that, that's some wise level design. It's not just like an absolute snaking level. It partially feels like it, but it comes back. The trick is to always like open up a pathway that leads from the beginning to the end of the level and back. Such as this. This looks like it does that. And that's how you make a smart, you know, level in the Spyro way. It opens up, or even better, that was it as well, yeah. That was it. So I guess I can finish the level, sure. I remember one level in Spyro was like, the end of the level just gave you like a flight power. And so like you just like scout the entire level in a different way. I'm thinking maybe Metropolis from Spyro 2, but that one's still like, that's still like half the level. Anyways. So yeah. They're really pushing to get all the tokens, because like legit, I've picked up every token so far, and this level will put me 4 ahead of the requirement. They really want you to get those tokens. Maybe the monster energy is starting to feel a little, you know, a little weaker on this one. Do I remember this level off the top of my head, or am I remembering another game? I'm thinking I actually do remember this level. This is like a factory level, 100% cattle run. This is almost 100% because apparently one of the tokens decided to just... I have no idea where it was in that level, so I'm just gonna go back for it. Zigoo. I love the idea of like just 100% casual runs, and even better, just like easing into speed runs if I do play games like again and again. This game I've only ever played once and I can't remember a thing about it. So, what I'm remembering about this game, I don't know if I necessarily, like, I remembered the existence of an Arabian level, but I did not remember any of the structure of the level. And then, like, this level, like, I remember one bit, and I don't know if it's in this level in particular, but I just remember one bit of, like, this open area and picking up I don't know actually. I can't describe the structure. It had like conveyor belts. It had enemies around. It was like a round-ish room. Can't remember, and it's can't really describe it, but I guess that's the fun part about a lot of these 90s games is that like the aim is to make them unique, you know, for the length of the game. Who put that there? That's a fun wide like entryway as well. I was cancelled. I got cancelled. This is actually, oh gosh, I'm gone. Oh, I'm just gonna hit continue. Oh, I'm going back in. There you go. You found out what the continue looks like. Well, at least I can just go back in. Start the level again, but yeah, I mean, how far did I get? Not very. Hola. Hey, it's remembered my gems as well. Well, less panic. Biendeo game mode is on a kids Muppets game. Trust me. Trust me, this jumping is not amazing. It's a bit static. It's a little bit weird. Oh, fine. I love these, like, okay, real talk as well. One of my favorite parts about, like, 90s, like, 3D platformers is the lack of scale. Everything is just way larger than, like, practical. What is this area over here? Who is hiding this? Ding, 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 ding. I guess he's metal. That's what he is. Therefore, the flame power wins again. It is this level, yeah! Yeah! You're gonna see a round room and it's gonna, like, have an opening on the left at some point. I don't know if it's necessarily... yeah, it was this! No, what, okay, my brain's actually remembering it. Wow. Where do I put this block? Can I jump up here or no? Not quite. Ah, okay. I've really given you a bit of options on this one. So I think you just put this one here and then you can bounce onto the top here, grab the O. Look at that, they chucked bonus stuff up here. But it's still only six Muppet tokens. So
Unbelievable!
unbelievable! You have done the thing that does the thing. This is what I was thinking, is that you put this over here, but maybe I need a little further. Because you need to also be able to jump to the far end. Do you jump to the far end? Maybe. So, I'll move it over a little bit more. Yeah, okay. Oh. This is a very, like... I guess abstract, like the rest of the game looked very straightforward, and then here am I, like, taking a huge guess on, like, where you put this, just because, like, that's how the mechanics work. Oh, not quite. A little more over. Or alternatively, I just continue the level like a regular human being instead of doing the thing that looks like it's probably just a shortcut for, like, me coming back. Still. Alright, on the topic of impractically large things, these machines. Who is operating these incredibly and comically large machines? Ah, no, I can't believe I slipped. I guess, like, Robin is small, but, like, he's so small, he can't even step onto the one ledge that is available to him. Oh, okay, no, okay. Just save it for later, save it for later. Save it as a fillet for later. Did I just jump too low, or did I just... Ooh. And what's the point of the box? I like how the bounce pads have no, like, consistency as to, like, how high they're supposed to go. Yeah. Okay, sure.
This puzzle is shocking again.
I didn't read your description. I did not read your description. Alright, push the block into the numbers. That's what it was. So he wants it into the 1 first, so, yes. Puzzle. Alright, so you put it into the 1, and then you gotta move it back out. Or you get another block. Oh, yeah, it reveals another block. Okay. Alright, sure. Which one is 2? That's not the one there. It's not the one on the far wall. It is the one to the right. Yeah, I'll keep giving them props. They're trying something different. I think I complained about like some of the levels I guess blending together at the beginning of the stream, but yeah, I mean, you know, we got a spooky, we had a Arabian level, and we got this level. So I guess it's that. They at least tried. They've done a fair bit of stuff. And I mean, honestly, like, there's 18 levels and 6 boss fights. 18 levels, like, you know, at this time, that's a solid number. I guess that's, like, a bit of an interesting point of, like, how many levels do you aim for now in a game? Because, like, there's some games out there where it's, like, they'll do this thing where it's, like, they do, like, chapter breakdowns. So, like, there'll be multiple, like, maps worth of level, but things will be broken down by chapter. And in turn, I find that sometimes the chapters aren't particularly, there's not that many chapters. But then maybe they explore the chapter, you know, what they introduce in that chapter a fair bit. The classic example is Half-Life. That's a game where it's like, yeah, okay, it's got so many maps per chapter, and then each chapter pretty much is its own, like, kind of mini experience. It's just, like, wild how many, like, kinds of genres Half-Life seems to just go through. Remarkable game. But more average shooters in particular seem to fall into this pitfall of just calling a chapter like a story part rather than like really like breaking it down by a mechanic. Also, did you like how that is a dead end? Did you like how the level just ceases to continue from here? So my idea of jumping that gap may actually be the intended way forward. Call of Duty, yeah, Call of Duty definitely. Well, actually, Call of Duty's got like you know, like different characters you play through sometimes, but I will still say, as someone who has still yet to play a Call of Duty game, I'm only going off the anecdotal things I've heard, but there you go. Look at that. 100% that's the intended game level progression, by the way. I'm not even joking. This is what I'm thinking. So this is going to be a large room. To my right, this is going to be a large room. It opens up to the left, and it's got like either walkways or like weird little bridges. I'm remembering. That is neither what I was thinking. But it does open up to the left, so I did remember that. Although some games make the boss player show off a new mechanic, not really the chapter level itself. Yeah, I guess it's that. I guess Mega Man is the classic example of like, you know, every level is, it's a themed level and then it always ends in a boss. I guess like that's always a fun one as well, where it's just like that's, you know, the boss is a demonstration of some mechanic, and if anything, I guess like arcades are just the perfect example of like where that kind of is a thing. Like the best arcade games are the ones where it's like a level is an idea and then a challenge. They don't expect me to just jump that, do they? No, because I've knocked this down. Ah! Oh, I got Kool-Aided. No Kool-Aid. I gotta get into like more like arcade titles. Hi, you wanna come down? Give me a hug. Maybe I'll come down if I. Oh, Mega Man used a save code that represents the level you got up to. Yeah, that's yeah, that's actually a fun one as well. Like when the yeah, the before save codes you serialize your game data and hopefully a very short and memorable code. That always like blows my mind, like when games kind of like not necessarily, actually yes, necessarily cheaped out, like in the Game Boy times. They were kind of had to make the level fixed. Yeah, true. And on top of that, you'd have to make like progression, or not progression, but also like other kinds of persistence fixed. So like I mean, classic example is Super Mario Brothers, where I mean I guess that's got no continue system whatsoever beyond just RAM whenever you die. It's got an unofficial continue feature. But like even the score doesn't save when you turn the game off. I guess arcades have a little bit in there, but still, it's just like, you know, the age-old strat of just going, well, string, it's a bunch of letters. That's all you need. And that kind of blows my mind of like, you know, how there's some games out there that will use much more, I guess like storage space on disk for its save files, and then you go. Like, there were games where you had to write down a password and that was all it needed to remember. Maybe it felt, like, limiting because, like, they couldn't they couldn't remember a lot of details. Like, you'd be lucky if your game would remember a number. At least, unless your password was ages long, in which case, yeah, sure, I guess, but... I don't remember, like, any arcades that did passwords.
Hey, this is electrified, okay? Touching this while it's flashing will give you such a shock.
I think there's some where it's like, I can actually, I remember there's a ROM hack. This is a very interesting one. There's a ROM hack. True. I actually, and this is one as well. Like I'll sometimes hear like, you know, like angry video game nerd types of just like, you know, oh, the password is too long, and then it's like, you know, there's some games out there. I'm thinking. Like Aladdin on the SNES, and the passwords were like there's 4 slots where there's 6 symbols each. There's a roasted froggy, and it's something like that, and it's like I'm running through the numbers in my head, but it's like, what is that? 4 to the power of 6 is 2000. You could probably run through the combinations after a bit, and ultimately, all that's doing is hiding, like 10 levels.
Oh, this can't be good.
The timing was so rough on that one, because it was either the enemies attacking me, or the floor zapping me. Oh, 4096. Oh yeah, true. I'm off by 1. Still, it's just like, I mean, like that's a lot of combinations for. 12 levels, 10 levels, but it's also like, it's not a lot of like total combinations to hide potential passwords. I'm trying to remember, I think I remember another game that was like, it actually was like 3 slots with like 4 colors, or 3 colors. So it was like 27 possible like combinations. I don't know what that password system was trying to hide. This is the end of the level over here. That was very mean. That guy nearly got me around the corner. But yeah, no. So the example I was thinking was there exists a ROM hack of Daytona USA called Daytona RPG, and it actually introduces a persistence of career. So what you'd do is that every time you'd finish the race, this is not the end of the level. Every time you'd finish a race, it would actually give you a code, and you'd use that code the next time you played the machine, and you'd maintain your progression, and you'd do it over and over again. I'm like, why has there been very few arcade machines that have done that? Because that sounds absolutely amazing. Because the best part as well is that, like, you know, you can watch your friends, and you can start the game at the same place as your friends do, because you watch them play. It's it's like surprisingly like, I guess smart in some way. Banana pass. Oh, like some arcades will output like something onto a card, so you can scan it next time. Yeah, that's another way of doing it. I like how this token's just here. Oh, I maintained momentum. What? An NFC card now. The old system used to have printed cards. Ah, okay. Yeah, an NFC system could actually work. I'd really love, like, next time I go to, like, Time Zone, if there's any games that, like, do support the card, I'll probably not. Because I was like, yeah, they got, like... I mean, they do have Daytona 3. They do have that. I keep calling it Daytona 3, even though it's technically just an enhanced version of the original. What? Pro dodge. You. But yeah, no, that's actually pretty cool. That like there's other kinds of yeah, especially NFC based stuff just implemented now. That's the fun part. Arcades are so cool because it's just like they're obviously not as popular as like home systems now, and especially in today's day and age, the odds of you going out to an arcade may be a little bit lesser than they'd like. But I also kind of like, I really admire like making an arcade machine work because the context is just so different, and so it's like you can just make a very different experience. And yeah, like even just like finding old arcade games and just I think that's a degree of like it's too expensive, and also I think that's a degree of like it's too unfair where like depending on the arcade, because ultimately like, you know, like say I go to like a real arcade and it's like, oh, like throw the ball at the bottles, and if you knock down 10 then you win the ultimate prize. It's like I look at that and I go, I can feel the ball, I can kind of gauge the bottles, I can know pretty quickly how the game really works. Then I played Time Crisis 4. Oh, there's dangerous water. I played Time Crisis 4, and you could not tell me how cheap that game starts getting after the second act. It becomes an incredibly, like, difficult game. Like, stuff like, oh, like, there's a flashlight mechanic. Like, you can't see the enemies. Like, there's a lot of, like, crazy stuff like that. There's, like, yeah, a turret section, there's all this stuff, and it's like, it's exciting, but it's also like, wow. You know, like, I have to learn things as I play this game, because there's no way that, like... Sorry, not that I learn things, but, like, there's... it's good when they have unlimited playtime options. Yeah, definitely. I actually, like... as a way to casually get into the game before you can, like, prove yourself on the actual, like, arcade machine, I totally like the idea of unlimited playtime options. Yeah, last time I went to an arcade and I played Time Crisis 4 and I burnt like $12 on it, because yeah, I just keep dying, and at least you can continue when you resume. What is? Yeah, okay, that just rotated the thing. At least you can continue, but yeah, it just burns your money. So I would love like an unlimited pass at Time Zone. Maybe if I spend enough, because I've got my card, and they've got a thing where, like, if you spend enough, you start getting, like, free plays. So, maybe I could go in, play one game, and be good at Time Crisis eventually. Like, if I keep playing the beginning of the game enough to not need to continue. Is that game even possible without getting hit? I don't think it is. You don't even heal between levels. You heal between the 3 acts of the game, not even like the individual like levels as part of the acts. There's a reason why I just spent my money playing Daytona, because Daytona is Daytona. You spend like Daytona's ultimate. It's pure. You spend like no money. You spend one. The one in Time Zone. Haymarket has time-based one. Oh, really? They time-based? Because at least... Actually, sorry, I take it back. Time Crisis was time-based, and it actually was rather... I found it was actually rather cool, because, yeah, if the time ran out, you took a hit, and then the time just reset. It didn't really hit me too often, but it was like, oh, I had to, like, really, like, rush and kind of be a bit hasty at times. Daytona has a time limit on it, but I don't know. I feel like I've actually practiced that game too much, so I'm now in a state where like I can actually like properly just finish. Not necessarily win, but finish enough. So that's just back behind me. That's cool. The boss required speed. Oh jeez. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about like some of the real time limit ones. I think they ultimately all need a time limit because, you know, if a kid like just leaves the arcade, you need like some way to turn the game off. But yeah, on the flip side, it's like sometimes those time limits are way too strict. There you go, get that token. That's 66. So now I just need a bunch of tokens. Sorry, a bunch of evil energy every time. It's always the wrong word. Boing, boing. Boing, boing. I assume that's gonna push up to 4799. I don't know actually what number I'm at. It's kind of interesting that like they keep accelerating the number of evil energy you get in a level, because like the first levels were like you'd get 200 and now it's like 500. Oh, you need two switches. Wow. You see what I mean? It's the same line of dialogue every time. Such a shame, but yeah, that's okay. And then suddenly here's all the energy in one go. I'm gonna hit this box. Yeah, okay. There's definitely like 2 more somewhere. Or 10 more. Is that a yellow just sitting there, or is that... That is a yellow just sitting there. Well, that's a level. Cool. Just gonna double check. Yep, okay, that's the level. There's only 16 enemies in that level for the coins. Interesting. So... Do you like as well, by the way, that the level like screen indicates which powers you're using on it? So that one, it's like, okay, so you can, you know, like you gotta push things and you gotta swim. Speaking of which, we got this guy, the Muppet Monster Slimeth. So I'll beat this boss and we'll call it a stream. And then I'll idly try and find that that last evil energy. I'll just be like, yeah, okay, cool. That's where that was. Nothing screams boss like platforms.
Okay.
Yep, okay. Did you read that description?
In over your head now, kid.
I don't know who this guy is, actually. I think he's the Muppets Tonight guy, I think. Oh, at least he's warning me. At least he's warning me. Cool. Not as cool. Sure. 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 What do you do if you chose the wrong one?
Get to the electrocution switch quickly, okay?
Cool boss. Cool boss. You just stand on the switch.
Ow!
That's some insanely long electrocution. That would really hurt. Well, that's okay. He's warning me again. He's sending out more wavy particles. Here he comes with the bombs. They blow up a little quicker this time. Oh. 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 Oh, the platforms come back after a bit, so you've always got somewhere. Oh. Okay. Okay.
Get to the electrocution.
Do you really have to tell me to get to the switch to the brightly lit platform? Come on, game. You gotta have some faith in the player somewhere. Oh, well. Some very upbeat kind of... How would you describe this? Tango? Okay, what's the point? What's the point if I could just jump over them? I could just jump over the projectiles. Whoop! I got baited. I got double baited. No! I got triple baited. I'm so bad at this. Wow. You know what that means? The whole boss fight again.
Remember the pattern, okay?
I'm not good at this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I failed you. I just... Oh! Like, okay, real talk. I, like, see the bomb, and then I, like, try to reverse it. And you'll see me do, like... this, like, reverse jump. And you'll see that, like, my momentum is just killed. At least you can hear more of the music.
Get to the electrocution switch quickly, okay?
At least there's that. Ah, my innards, they are cooking. I am a fish. That is the last thing that I ever want to have happen to me. Electrocution is basically just burning, right? Oh. Not basically burning, but you know what I mean? It's like... I think someone sent me a comic about you know, Articuno is the bird of ice, and then Moltres is the bird of fire, and Zapdos is just awkwardly in between. That's a fun one.
Ow!
Who's laughing now? Fish face? That's not very nice, I know. There are people who look like this in real life. I have offended an entire group of people. I always find, like... I don't know, this one's a bit of a meta one, but, I don't know, like... Making jokes about... What?! I just fell to the floor. I just fell to the platform. They didn't like me. Okay, okay. That's a funny game. That's a funny game. Oh, don't do the other side. Don't do the other side. He did the other side.
Get to the electrocution switch quickly, okay?
Okay, we're good. We're good. Well, okay, I'm not gonna finish my comment on funny looking people, but we'll just leave it at that. Well, he got better at the end. Look at him, he's so much smaller. And he has clothes this time.
Swimmingly done, little Robin.
You missed the dude line, but sure. Sure. Alright, well, that was a pretty eventful stream. Yet again, another 8 levels cleared. Almost asterisk. One singular green in one level, but... yeah, I'll find it. I will find it, I'll write it down, and then at the beginning of the next stream I'll show it, pick it up, and then try and finish off the rest of these levels. But... yeah, that's the remaining 8 levels left to go, and my 25% is now, drumroll, it is now 59%, so accelerating game. Anyways, with that, I would like to thank you all for watching. I hope you've had a great time watching the stream, and if you watched part of it, you can always watch the VOD that will be on YouTube at some point in a newer... later point in time, but that's okay because I try my best to upload it. It should be good this time. Got the thumbnail. It's all good. I'm ready. Yes, they end up on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube or you can follow on Twitch where I stream at the same time every week. Same time. It's always the same time. And in this case, it'll be the same game, despite the fact that the next stream will definitely be after Halloween. I don't care. It's still a spooky game and I'm gonna play it for one more stream. Other than that, I hope you guys have a very good week ahead of you. Make sure you stay safe, you eat your greens, you don't stay up too late, don't get those November blues. Have a great Halloween. Celebrate the holiday. Delve in the surreal, supernatural. Eat lots of candy, just like another holiday that's got nothing to do about candy. But everyone consumes lots of chocolate on that one. Anyways, have a great one, everyone.